And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Carrie Haisley. This is the Alaska Weather Show, and today is Saturday, June 15th, 2024. Now, you can get weather information anytime on our website at weather.gov/Alaska. And if you'd like to get a hold of me, you can do so via email anytime at carrie.haisley@noaa.gov. Now, you may note that I am not in the studio. We are operating with some reduced capabilities this weekend. We also had the same reduction in service last weekend. We're not able to produce the aviation weather or the marine weather YouTube recordings. We also won't have any of the aviation or marine weather graphics available on our website. That said, we will continue to produce surface charts and continue to record this general weather segment. Everything should return to normal on Monday, and we appreciate your understanding. Now, diving into weather and water, we do have a couple of special weather statements in effect, one over southwest mainland Alaska for the Bristol Bay Area, the other over south central Alaska for the Kenai Peninsula and the Anchorage Bowl. Both of these are for the potential for some increased water levels in rivers and streams due to increased runoff from snowmelt up at higher elevations. This due to the warmer temperatures we're all currently experiencing. Iliamna River, Campbell Creek, and also Ship Creek in the Anchorage Bowl are places where we're looking for the potential for us to reach action stage. So do be advised if you're out along some of the rivers and streams, especially across southern Alaska, where water levels could be pretty high. No other watches, warnings, and advisories are in effect anywhere across the state, and that means we don't have any red flag warnings out at the moment. We do, however, have very high fire danger across most of the upper Yukon Valley. That's the area highlighted in orange. Extreme right around Fort Yukon, and then high fire danger across a lot of interior Alaska. This based on the grass adjective right now. So do keep an eye on the fire weather conditions. Make sure you're not doing anything that could trigger a fire start. If you put a fire in a fire ring, make sure that you get it completely out before you abandon it. So do keep an eye on products. We could see the potential for red flag conditions as we get through the weekend time frame. Now, across the state, we are dealing with widespread high pressure. This is great news for people who like sunshine and sunny weather. In fact, we're seeing some of the warmest conditions that we have seen in south central Alaska in over 300 days. First time we broke 70 this week. So for most folks, I think that's pretty good news. One thing we are going to be on the lookout for as we get into the afternoon hours is along the two troughs that you see highlighted across mainland. Potential for quite a bit of thunder activity to pop up later on this afternoon with that. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment. Out along the Aleutians, we do have an area of low pressure that is triggering some widespread rain in that area, and we'll look for that to persist as we get into the evening hours. We'll get to that again in just a minute. Now, thunderstorm potential. You can tell I'm all over the place today. Thunderstorm potential for your Saturday. The area highlighted in red, scattered coverage as we get into the afternoon and evening time frame. That includes a lot of south central Alaska, some places that we don't normally see a lot of thunder activity. And then the area highlighted in orange, isolated coverage for thunder activity. That includes a lot of the Panhandle, especially the inner part of the Panhandle and up along the mountains there. And Kodiak Island even could see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms as we get into the overnight hours tonight. Now tonight we do see that area of high pressure kind of continue to dominate the weather. A couple of centers to it, one out over the Bering Sea, the other down over the Gulf of Alaska. We're also seeing high pressure up along the Arctic coast. The area of low pressure out along the Aleutians will weaken as we get into the tonight time frame. The frontal boundary associated with that also expected to weaken overnight tonight, so we will see some of the rain out there start to also taper off. Up along the Arctic coast, cold front pushing its way very slowly into northwest mainland Alaska. So right now for the Arctic, we're really just looking for cooler conditions, potential for some fog. But as that system slowly marches its way east as we go through the week, the potential for rain and snow will pick up later on in the weekend time frame. Now for Sunday's weather, we continue to have high pressure be the dominant weather feature across the state. Continue to see troughs of low pressure across the interior. Continued potential for showers and thunderstorms to pop up in the afternoon. A new area of low pressure gets into southern mainland Alaska, down along the Aleutian chain there. So we'll see that bring in some new rain for parts of the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians. And then flying weather for Sunday afternoon, widespread VFR. That's good news, with the exception being along that frontal boundary out along the Aleutian chain there where IFR conditions expected. Also looking for IFR conditions up along parts of the northwest Arctic coast with that cold front up there. for thunder activity will be another story as we get into Sunday. So all of the area highlighted in orange here has some potential for isolated to scattered coverage. That includes the northern part of the Panhandle, south central Alaska, Anchorage Bowl, Kenai Peninsula. Again, another thunder day as we get into the day on Sunday. We see the area for thunder activity push its way further north of the Yukon River again. So again, more lightning in those places where we have very dry grasses. So Sunday, the fire weather potential does look like it picks up a little bit in the eastern interior. For Monday, we see low pressure continuing to linger out along the Aleutians, more rain out that way. And then also along mainland Alaska, while high pressure is the dominant feature, these troughs of low pressure that set up over mainland will again be the focus for potential for some thunder activity for Monday. So that's going to include southwest mainland, eastern interior, and again another day down along the Kenai Peninsula where some potential for thunder activity exists. Flying weather for Monday, still VFR across most of the state. We see some lower conditions Monday afternoon work their way into the northwest coast, but otherwise pretty good conditions just about everywhere. Lowest conditions are going to be out along the Aleutian chain. Thunder activity highlighted here in orange for your Monday. Again, a large area across mainland that includes a good part of southwest mainland now. It kind of creeps just outside of the Anchorage Bowl at this point, but could see some towering cumulus, some showers, maybe a streak or two. Certainly not outside the realm of possibility. The other place where the greatest potential is going to be will be across the eastern interior down to the Alaska range. Now temperatures, let's start across southeast Alaska, south central Alaska, and then we'll move to other regions of the state. So as we go through the overnight hours and into Sunday morning, temperatures should drop into the 40s and the 50s. So 40s in the Panhandle, that's because we'll have clear skies sticking around for most of the overnight hours there, so it allows it to get pretty cool. 50s as you get over towards mainland. We warm up well for Sunday with potential for some 70s around Juneau, especially the northern part of the Panhandle where we should get more sun tomorrow into the 70s. South central Alaska, we see temperatures get into the upper 60s to low 70s again, and then the further inland you go, the warmer it's going to be. Monday morning, temperatures again in the 40s and 50s across south central and southeast Alaska, and not quite as warm for most areas on Monday, but still pretty warm conditions. Down on the Kenai Peninsula, we get into the 60s, although stay in the lower 60s. Anchorage area into the Kenai Peninsula, into the Matsu Valley, upper 60s. There we go. And then down across the Panhandle, we see some of those 60s, northern Panhandle up around 70. Now let's go out west, starting out Sunday morning with a lot of temperatures in the 40s out along the Aleutians, 50s as you get more into mainland, and then we warm up a little bit into the 60s, even some 70s down around McGrath and Antioch. For Sunday, we keep those low temperatures, though, out along the Aleutians, 58 for Kodiak Island for Sunday afternoon. Now, Monday afternoon, a lot of 50s across, Monday morning. It's one of those days, man. Monday, a lot of 40s out along the Aleutians there for Monday morning to kick off the day, 50s across the interior. And then we're going to warm up across the Bristol Bay region into the 60s by Monday afternoon. And again, keep those 40s out along the Aleutians. Up north now we go. So we keep temperatures in the 30s to kick off Sunday morning. Overnight lows stay just above freezing in most places in the 30s. Across the central interior, we see overnight lows. In Fort Yukon, 58, 52 as you get a bit further south towards Tanana, and a lot of 40s to low 30s along the west coast. Now we warm up quite a bit Sunday afternoon for the interior, 85 in Fort Yukon. I hope you have a pool. I want to be hanging out at your pool for Sunday afternoon if it's going to be that warm. 80 around Fairbanks and a lot of 70s in the interior. It doesn't get very warm on the Arctic coast for your Sunday. We keep temperatures in the 40s. Does get really close to freezing Monday morning, 32 in Nuk'iavik, 33 over at Dead Horse, and a lot of 50s across the interior for those lows, and 81 for Fort Yukon. It stays warm for Monday, and a lot of 70s across the central interior for those temperatures on Monday afternoon. Just a few things left here. Sea ice edge, the area highlighted in white, still 80% concentration ice. That means along the northern Seward Peninsula, we're seeing some ice really holding on, including an area between Wales and Shishmaref that we're still looking to have melt out in the coming days, but that is still pretty strong. Area highlighted in the lighter blue shade there, that is less than 80% coverage, but there is still some ice out there stretching all the way down to St. Lawrence Island. Lastly, a quick look at the marine weather for Sunday. So the highest winds and waves are going to be out along the Aleutians, where we could see some winds out of the east as high as 30 knots, seas up to around 9 feet. But most of the area along the west coast, along the Gulf Coast, all the inner channels should see fairly low waves and wind for the day on Sunday. Things improve everywhere for Monday as we see that area of low pressure along the Aleutians weaken and a new one start to develop. Still see winds primarily out of the east up to about 25 knots max, but those seas, they come down to about 7 feet. So that's all I have. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for hanging out on my deck with me. David Kramer will be back tomorrow. And again, everything should be back to normal for Alaska weather when you get into the day on Monday. Everybody have a good weekend.